Hello! I'm really happy to see you. Welcome to Wellbeing and Joy Festival. I'm listening to very cool people. I'm gonna dial down on to my low volume. If you want to check them out, they are super cool, very cool people. But I'm here to ask you a question from the safety of my home, and I hope you are watching it in the safety of your home. Question, are you choosing a one cookie now or two cookies later? And here I am trying to convince you to choose those two cookies later, because exercising and understanding self-control is gonna help you to build the life of your dreams. We are faced by dilemmas of building the life of the dreams and making decisions and working towards the goals. And some of the goals are never getting fulfilled. The question is why? And my economics professor, not mathematician, as I wanted to say, in Harvard, developed a formula that helped him to explain why he never took action that he wanted towards the goal. So let's say, starting from example, I want to create the life of my dreams, and one of the goals is that I want to be a fit and healthy person, and that's going to help me to sustain the life of my dreams. And the action that I'm going to take is exercising 4 times a week starting from today. In the scale of 10 to -10, I'm going to evaluate both of them, my goal and the effort that it's going to take me to make this action of exercising. So minus numbers, -1 to -10 are negative ones, so negative feelings, a lot of effort, and plus numbers 1 to 10 are the ones that are positive feelings, feelings of pleasure. Exercising 4 times a week feels like a lot of effort and probably gonna hurt, and I'm gonna be sweating, so I'm giving it a -6. -1 being a little and -10 being complete exhaustion. So I'm gonna be on the -6. And then 1 to 10, 1 being a little bit of a pleasure and 10 being a lot of pleasure, I'm rating my goal of being fit and healthy as +8. So my sum of both of it is going to tell me how likely I'm going to be taking an action today. And because the goal is somewhere in the distant future, so I'm not going to become instantly this healthy and super fit person, it's going to be cut into half. So here it goes, -6 and plus half of the +8, that was the evaluation of my goal, is -2. That's why I'm less likely to take an action of exercising and working towards my goal today. But I'm not gonna quit as easy on my future goal. So I'm gonna definitely exercise tomorrow. Better even on Monday, because Monday is an amazing day to start, isn't it? So when it's in the distant future, all gets cut into -6 and +8 gets cut into half, and the sum of it becomes 1. And that's why, for me, thinking of it, seems that I'm going to take that action on Monday. Seems fair enough, is going to be more pleasurable than -2. But then when I'm on Monday, I'm hit with a present moment and with the same -2. So on Monday, I might want to take that action anymore. I won't do the effort because it's -2. So how do we overcome it? Psychologist Walter Mischel describes this columbarium by 2 thinking systems, a hot one and a cold one. A cold one is a slow thinking system that sits in our prefrontal cortex and is responsible for all the cognitive processes and makes us essentially humans. So all the problem solving, all the creativity, creative thinking, analysis, strategy, all happens in prefrontal cortex in the cold thinking. And then the hot thinking is really fast, really powerful, and probably can overrun the cold thinking in no time, and is driven by our impulses and emotions like fear, hunger, anger, sexual desires, and has been always responsible for us surviving and bringing us here. And it sits by the stem of our brain in a very important but small place called amygdala. So future is always going to be cold. So we are always going to be able to think distantly of it, think clearly, see the consequences, the benefits of it. We will be able to evaluate and make a decision. It's amazing. We should be going for this goal. And then we are hit by the future and the action that we have to take, and that's driven by our hot thinking, by our impulses, fears, and maybe uncomfortable feelings. And that's why we are not taking this decision and not making the action. Solution is to switch both. So heat up the future. So start thinking in a pleasurable way, with emotions, embodied feelings about the future, and cooling down the uncomfortable feelings and fears of taking the action. I mean, in theory, it's easy to say, but it's hard to do. How do we make it work? One of the suggestions is to cool down. How do we cool down? How do we distance ourselves? That's where the meditation and visualization can come in and be really helpful for you to really be able to catch yourself in the impulses, to see yourself from the distance, and realize what kind of impulses and what kind of fears are running you. The other solution is to create a map of your hot points, or your hot spots, and develop the behavior plan if then. So how does it happen on practice? In practice, it happens that you track in the journal, let's say, what kind of situations trigger your emotional hotspots. And it's simple. You are just describing the situation that triggered it and the intensity of it. So you're giving it a number from 1 to 10. 1 being a little and 10 being a lot. So once you have the list of all of these situations, of all of these triggers, then going one by one, you can develop the behavioral plan for yourself to implement. If that happens, what's then? What is your action then? And once you have created the list, you can start implementing it one by one. Of course, it sounds easier than it is in the actual life. But really exercising these cognitive abilities to distance yourself and to cool down the hot thinking, and being able to go list by list once you have written it down is going to help you to drive and create that habit of repetition. And once you have started to have the positive feedback, the pleasure of actually being able to, contain yourself and to stop yourself from reaction, or actually go for the action that you wanted to do, that's gonna feed into your pleasure centers and into your self-esteem, driving the motivation to continue, because the habit is created by repetition. Once the effort is out of the question, out of the equation for you, it becomes automatic, and then the habit is there. And yes, as I mentioned, motivation. You might ask me, what about motivation and willpower? Really good. Motivation is an important part, and motivation is something that allows us to make a decision to go for one goal or another. And motivation consists of several things. I made a note here. Let me check. So one of it is a perception of situation. So how do we perceive situation? And the question is, what are you using? Your hot or your cold system to think about it? So the cold one is going to give you facts, and the hot one is going to run it. Probable consequences is always going to be a cold one, and your goal always going to be able to think of them clearly, and you can also write them down. Why it motivates you, what consequences of your behavior are actually going to motivate you to deliver that goal. In the same way, you can also heat it up by visualizing the pleasurable feelings, by feeling them really into your body. That is going to heat up your motivation. The goals that feed into your motivation. For example, for me to be happy and fit and healthy, one of my goals is, to be consistent in my exercising plan. So I'm going to heat up with a pleasurable feeling after the exercise that I get. So I'm going to be focusing and concentrating on that. And then intensity of temptation. Can it be cooled down? Can my temptation of staying in the couch or not going into the gym or exercising at home be cooled down? Or my temptation to resist it and do nothing instead, or watch TV, can be cooled down, and my pleasurable feelings of feeling good, having fun, can be heated up. So we are by the plan, but maybe some would think, okay, but what about me? I mean, I'm not a strong-willed person and I have little control. In this case, psychologist Walter Mischel, the same person, invites us to think that the trait that we think is consistent and stable might be really dynamic. Meaning that if you have been able to finish your school, if you have been able to go to job, if you have been able to do anything you ever desired or were meant to do, you definitely have a willpower. So you have exercised it there. The question is how to bring it towards the goal that now you have put for yourself. So it's more like a muscle or a limitless resource that you can always tap in. And again, we are back to idea how you heat up your stronger, faster, hot thinking. And sometimes how do you cool down by your prefrontal cortex by cold thinking when you're about to do the wrong decision and maybe not exercising or taking a cigarette instead of not buying cigarettes, and so on. That's about that. But of course, you might argue, yeah, it's easy in the theory, how about the practice? Of course, it's really hard. I'm not saying it's easy, but I believe it's totally worth it to exercise your self-control and develop those strategies, develop the plan if then. Because once you start doing it and you start fulfilling it, you start tapping into your pleasure centers and you are able to sustain it, and hopefully sustain for so long that it becomes automatic for you, so you create the habit. It's just a matter of time that you do it so many repetitions that the effort is out of this equation. Before I close, I really want you to have this quote from Michelle, that I think, therefore I can change what I am. Because by changing how we think, we can change what we feel, do, and become. And I really wish you to exercise how much you can change how you think, so you can become and achieve those amazing goals that you have for yourself. Thank you very much for being these minutes with me, for devoting this time and tapping in. You can always find me on Facebook, you can always find me on Instagram, on my website. You can subscribe for my insider's letter on website norameldere.com. I'm gonna be really glad to hear from you, any feedback, any questions you have from me. I'm hoping you're staying home, you're staying safe, wishing you all the best. Enjoy the rest of the festival, feel well, and have great joy. Thank you very much. See you later. Bye.